Hotel Transylvania Transformania is directed by Derek Dryman and Jennifer Kluska and stars Andy Samberg, Selena Gomez, Catherine Hahn, Jim Gaffigan, and not Adam Sandler. When Van Helsing's monstrification ray goes haywire, turning Johnny into a monster and the Drac Gang into humans, they must now find a way to turn back into their own brands of normal. The first Hotel Transylvania movie, in my opinion, holds up remarkably well. I love the animation, I love the characters, I love the comedy, and I love the fact that it actually does take time to really show some darker and mature themes than most people would expect from an animated movie starring Adam Sandler of all people. The second film was fine for the most part. You still got those great characters, you still got that great animation, but I felt the villain was really last minute and made no sense, and the message was pretty much just the same as the first film. Still though, fine. The third film, on the other hand, is where we notice a strict decline in this franchise. Everything is noticeably cheaper. It rehashes basically the exact same message as the first two films, and it just wasn't as funny. You still got that imaginative animation, but it's not the same as the first two, and it just looks and feels lesser than those first two films. The third film, in my opinion, was going to be so obviously worse that I didn't even see it in theaters when it originally came out. I saw it for the first time last week in preparation for this movie. This movie, on the other hand, is for free on Amazon Prime, which, once again, starting off with a bad sign. And that bad feeling didn't steer me wrong. This film is definitely the worst Hotel Transylvania movie in the entire franchise. Not an awful movie, but definitely lesser. Alright, so before I bag on a kid's movie of all things, what did I like about the film? Well, for starters, the characters are still great. I love all of these characters, even in the films that are lesser in quality, they are still the best part. Each one of them has such a distinct personality that coincides with each other so well and so perfectly in terms of comedy that instantly I love them. A big standout in terms of character and character interaction is this one scene near the end of the second act with Johnny and Drac. And it's basically just them discussing the core message of this entire movie, and it really does tug at the heartstrings, and I hate the fact that I love these characters so much that even in a terrible movie, they will still be the best part, and will still be the reason a movie is worth seeing with them in it. This is not a terrible movie, but still. And another thing I love, the animation. We'll get into some of the animation's lesser qualities later on, but for now, we're going to stick with what I love about the animation, and the big part is the slapstick comedy. The slapstick comedy, which pretty much makes up a majority of this movie's comedic moments, is just incredible. It is so energetic, so entertaining, and moves at 1,000,000 frames a second. I just loved it. But at the same time, as much as there is slapstick comedy, the movie knows that a quiet moment, a still moment, can be just as funny. If there is anything I can say about this movie, is that it is definitely more funny and more comedically focused than the previous film. However, as much as I still love the characters and like a majority of the comedic moments, I still don't like this movie as a whole overall, though. Going back to that animation, as much as I do love it when it is focusing on the energetic slapstick, when you look at the characters and how the animators portray them, It's definitely noticeably worse than the first two films. And don't get me wrong, the third film has the same problem as this one when it comes to character designs and the animation behind them. The character designs and the animation in the first two films were quick and energetic, but the designs of each character were so distinct, and each character moved and expressed themselves in their own unique way. In the first two films, you would never see Dracula move and give the exact same facial expressions as Mavis or Frank. But in both this movie and the previous one, not only was that design distinction gone and every character moved and reacted the same way, but it also feels like they no longer move and express themselves like characters from the first two films. They move and act like 3D cartoons. Half the time, it felt more like I was watching characters from a new 3D SpongeBob movie than I was watching characters from a Hotel Transylvania film. For as expressive and energetic as most of the animation is, sometimes, most of the time, all the time, it feels somewhat cheap, lazy, and rushed, like they couldn't have the time to make the characters distinct in how they moved and acted. And that cheapness is felt in other ways as well, especially the cast. Now, don't get me wrong. Selena Gomez, Andy Samberg, and half of the cast from the previous three films return and they all do a fine job. But the other half that don't return and instead have voice actors replacing them, it is very noticeable, and you can tell the entire way through that this Dracula is not Adam Sandler. I don't know why they couldn't get those key players to come back when they got David Spade and Fran Drescher, of all people, to come back. But whenever Dracula talks, and you know how he's supposed to talk because you've seen Adam Sandler play him in the previous three movies, whenever this one talks, in the inflections and the distinct voice is just gone and replaced with something else that just feels somewhat like what we're used to, but still mostly foreign. And my last big complaint is, like the previous three movies, the message is the exact same. Why does this franchise feel the need to hammer in that exact message in every single movie when there is a plethora of other morals that kids should learn? Kids who are going to watch this movie, kids with brain cells who already know from the previous three movies, oh, I should accept people for who they are. It just feels lazy and cheap and a cardboard cutout of what the first film did. In fact, that is a good way to sum up this entire film. But again, I don't hate the movie at all. I still love the characters, I still love the comedy, and I appreciate the energy the animation has. But whether it's new voice actors juxtaposed with returning actors, animation and character designs that at times feel two-dimensional and overly cartoonish, or the overly redundant message that we've heard already, not just from the other three films, but just other kids' movies in general, this movie can't help but feel cheaper and lesser by comparison. Again, there's nothing overtly wrong or harmful about the movie. You can show it to your kids and it will shut them up for 90 minutes. But essentially, this is a kids' movie, not a family movie. The first film, and even the second film for the most part, have mature messages for adults as well as they do kids, so that parents can watch them with their kids. But if you're an adult watching this, you're just gonna get tired because you've heard and seen all of this before and done better. Nothing awful, nothing harmful, but something redundant. I'm going to give Hotel Transylvania Transformania a C-. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below, who's your favorite Hotel Transylvania character? For me personally, I do love the animation in the first film with Dracula, but my personal favorite will always be the Invisible Man, because you can get so many jokes out of him. It's actually insane. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys are the best. Don't forget to click subscribe and click the bell icon down below to stay up to date on all things movie, all things TV, all things nerd.